Hello everybody, this is Make It Better, and today we're doing What If Deku Was a Mutant, Part 1. Before I start the video, let me explain why I'm doing this. First of all, it's for the 300 subscribers and celebration kind of thing. Yeah, and it's almost getting close to Halloween, so I guess it'll be perfect timing. And, well, the reason I'm not doing any other parts for probably this week or 3 days, depending on how I feel. It's basically how I feel right now. I kind of got into a fight. Well, more of an argument, one-sided, of course. That I can't say anything. They just talk to me, and I just feel so bad right now. Not enough to cry, but enough to make me not be happy for the rest of the time. So I can't do a video on this kind of state. Well, any happier ones, or even mild. So, as you can tell, my voice is gonna be dark. This is this is gonna be a bit dark, but I'll try my best to not make it too dark. So here we go. Hold on. We start at the hospital. He was getting evaluated for his quirk. Zuko was looking at the doctor, all excited, like hoping that he'll get a powerful quirk, one like All Might's. But when the news told by the doctor that he will never be a hero, nor even a actual person, because he is quirkless. This destroyed Izuku from the inside, and he couldn't believe it, looking down with tears in his eyes and trying to hold the tears. Inko, trying to be the good mother she is, comfort him until he stops. But the doctor keeps saying something else. But we have found some new DNA in your son. We do not understand it. If you would like to, as he give a permission slip, that's mostly blacked out and hard to read for Inko to understand what she's signing. The doctor insists her to sign it. And the moment she finally signed it with just one letter, the doctor said, "Great," as he throws the very paper on his desk, call in a few guys, take the woman and the child, and when they call the emergency number, which is Isashi, he came into the hospital and was quickly taken away. Now moving on for 2 days. They have no word or sound coming from the Midoriya's house. Bakugo doesn't know what happened to Deku, and his mother and father don't know either. They all think they move out or something, and they forget about them in the coming years. Moving over another scene of Isashi holding on to Inko and Zuko as they're crying to each other's arm in a very dark, small room. They hear nothing, they weren't given anything, and they were just there in 2 days with nothing but each other. And after 3 days, Zuko was coming in and out of consciousness, and Inko trying her best to be a good mother. Well, I haven't done this before because Deku is 4 right now, up 4.5. So she tried to feed him with basically breastfeed him. Zuko tried his best, but nothing came out. Sashi and Inko were arguing when Zuko was falling asleep and try his best to be asleep, but he can't. He still stayed up the whole time. And Sashi finally gave in and told Inko to do it. But Inko can't. She really doesn't want to do it. But Sashi showed her it's very easy. You just grab your own neck and twist. And at that very motion, there's only 2 people in that room now. Inko, in the shock in her eyes that Sashi did it to himself with no hesitation, no hope in his eyes, laying there right in front of her, not a whisper to be heard. She holds all the tears that she's had in her eyes and shakily went towards Zuko. She kind of touched him, pushed him in and out on his shoulder, seeing if he's awake, and she's whispering him if he's awake. When Zuko does not answer, she said, "Okay, that's good." As she slowly grabbed her son's head, petting it nice and softly. She's have tears going down her eyes, from her eye to her cheek to her chin, down onto the floor. She's shaking with fear on not knowing what will happen after this. But she doesn't want him to go through something so terrible. So she tried her best and move his head in a quick fashion to the left. And then there's one person still there. Inko, with this shock, devastation in her heart, huge heaviness in her lungs, so much pain, and she doesn't know what else to do. So she did the same thing to herself. She grabbed her neck, her head, slowly move it to the right, to the left, and said, "I'll see you there." And she cracked it. Now there's 3 bodies in the room. A few seconds come by. Minutes has gone by. And then Zuko wakes back up. He feels a huge crick in his neck, and then he pop it into place. He still feels a pain, and then he asks his mom and dad, what time is it, thinking that it was all a bad dream, as he tried to open his eyes. He looks to the wall. He was facing it as he was sleeping. Looks up to the ceiling. See, it's just the same room, but it was too much for him. He can't cry anymore. He doesn't have anything to drink. And to his shock, and crying comes over him. Complete and utter despair, seeing his mother and his father laying there lifeless, as if they are asleep peacefully. And that scared Zuko so much that he couldn't understand why they are like that, and he get off of the bed shape form concrete that was on the corner of the room and grab onto his mom and shake her side to side and asking her if she's awake. Is she awake? Is she sleeping? Can you wake up, Mom? Wake up! As he tried to cry or and give a tear, but nothing is coming. After he knows, but he doesn't want to say it out loud, he looks over to his dad and into a very awkward position. Also asks his father if he's awake. And he kept doing this on and on for hours on both of them, but they don't answer him. And for Izuku, he moved his parents to a wall. He put himself right in the middle, his mom on the right, his dad on the left, and he can slowly can feel their warmth. All of the good memories that came from them, all the times that they laughed and joked and be a very loving family. And he, for the first time in 3 days, was able to produce one tear as he slowly went to sleep. I'm tearing up too. It's not you, it's me. Now, they hear, well, he hear footsteps coming. It's getting louder and louder to a point where they open the door, see, and Zuko, for the first time in forever, see light coming off of it. This person in a white coverall from head to toe, nothing showing, no face, no appearance. Gloves that are all black. Blue boots that are all black and rubber. And they sigh on the showing, but also show no care as well, as they move the bodies out of the way, checking for the pulse, and then pushing it on the side. Same thing with the other body. And when they checked the child, they said, okay, that's good, I guess. As they immediately take the kid's arm and pulled him aggressively, shaking him awake, fully awake. The kid screaming, asking for help, anything, everything to get out of the area. But nothing is working. He's too weak to move. And then he was taken into a operation room. The doctors were talking about some weird gene, some new DNA they have found by this one child. They have no idea what it is, so as some doctors give a evil grin, said we're going to dissect him until we find what ticks. As they go on, nothing, no air, no gas. Zuko is laying there with straps on his arms, his head, his legs, his body, everything. And he feels every single pain that is being done to him. A sharp knife into his arms, cutting it open all the way down to his wrist, and opening it up wide for the doctor to see it and poke around. And Zuko feels every single piece of his body can cut open, search around, and sloppily put it back together. And they did this for hours, seemingly days, and they find nothing. Zuko, with all this pain, really was yelling out to stop, it hurts. And over, they ignored him to a point where they actually put a muzzle on the kid, on his mouth to make him stop. He was still screaming, but no one cared. They were still focused on their job. After their little experiment was stopped, Zuko, he was broken. He left his mind per se, and was taken back to his room where his parents were still at. And just the smell of their carcass, their bodies decaying and going everywhere just for one day. Zuko, first time ever, had his stomach growling. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to not do it at all. But every time he has his stomach growling, looks over to his mother and father, and he can't take it anymore. He slowly stands up from his corner with tears in his eyes. He looks down on their arms. He picked it up and bit into their arms. He's tearing up as he's doing this, blood coming out of the arm. He's trying his very best to chew on whatever flesh is on left. And he's chewing harder and harder, all the way to the bone. And when he finally ripped off that one piece, he immediately swallowed. He did not chew it because it was too much for him. And after that first initial piece of meat in his stomach, he couldn't take it anymore. He tried his very best and eat more and more of his father's remaining body. And he only got up to his arm and almost to his shoulder. He tried his best to ration himself, but nothing. He was too hungry, and he couldn't think of anything else. After he got full, he realized what he has done and put his hands onto his eyes, showing blood all over his face. And then he looks down and sees blood on his hands. That image, that feeling, and that whole despair of doing the very action really hurts. But it was the only thing he can think of. And at that moment, he finally got a night rest. 2 days has passed. Same routine. The doctor came in, saw the kid, pulled him out, and have him dissected again. This time with new tools, other pieces and some parts. And Zuko is still feeling all this pressure and pain. He still has that one small amount of hope. And, well, he doesn't want to give that up. He still is latching on to that piece of hope. But every time they rip him open again, the stitches themselves were on, holding him together, but not really holding him. Every time he moves an arm, he feels every pain, almost like his skin is gonna fall off. And this kept going until one of the doctors asked the kid directly if he can count to 1,000. And Zuko mistakenly said yes. And the doctor smiles with a huge grin and asks the kid to have 1,000, start from 1,000 and subtract it by 7. And you tell me where you're at. Can't you do that? And I'll promise you I'll get you some water after this session. And the promise of water was so great. He did it. He did 1,993 and kept going from there. He didn't know it at first, but when they stick it in another knife on his body After 5 hours of laying there, the doctor asked him where he is. He said 883. The doctor said, "Good." And then he realized that the doctor wanted him to stay awake for all that time to really know the feeling throughout his whole body and stay awake for that time. But with the promise of water, he kept going. The session is over. He was taken to his room, and the doctor came in, threw a water bottle in the room. But the doctor did not say how full it would be. Zuko grabbed the water bottle, almost with a smile on his face, as he grabbed it and lifted it up. And to his horror, there was nothing in there. There was barely enough to fill up the cap of the water bottle. He looks to the doctor, then back to his bottle. He opened up and drank what was left. And the doctor just laughed as he walks away. Zuko couldn't take it as much anymore. And then something awakens from within. At first, he was very scared, but when he learned that he can control it, he devised a plan to use this for his next time he gets out. So 2 days has passed. He tried his very best to control it and bring it out, making it stronger and stronger. So he thought he was ready. As the doctor finally came in and pulled the kid out, as they were walking down the hallway, same routine as always for the doctor, Zuko took this chance, swiped him away as much as he can, whatever force he had, making him break a part of his bone on one of his limbs and start swiping a tail towards the doctor. But the doctor had a quirk, a muscle enhancement quirk. Only 2 times stronger, but strong enough to grab onto the tail, and held the kid in place as he took it to the room, showed everybody about the tail, and they are very happy. Right now, there's a picture. That's a tail that's coming out of him, but it's only come out of a hand about 5 inches out of his hands. He thought he could do something, but he didn't have enough muscle nor experience with it to do anything. He thought he had the power, but it wasn't strong enough to help him. But Zuko thought he could do something. But moving on to the doctors, they're so excited to see a new part. They think it's because of that one gene, that one special DNA they cannot find. And when that came out, they surgically pulled that very tail out of him completely. Just imagine your tailbone being pulled out by force with nothing to relieve the pain. And it was way more painful than he could ever thought. Even the time where they cut his skull, the skin of his skull from the forehead all the way to the back and open it up, showing a brain of sorts. And that was nothing compared to the tail getting pulled right out of him. And for the doctor's dismay, it disappeared the moment it left Zuko's body. So the doctors thought it would regrow again. So they put him back into the cell. After a few days, it regrew. But Zuko gave up at this point. And, well, they tested his tail, learns it has that very gene. It is the very gene that's causing it, and they couldn't find the source. But one day, they found the source. They pull it right out of him and run some tests. But Zuko, by this time, started to develop another ability. As he was taken back into his cell, he got hungry again. He already ate most of his father's body, and it started to grow maggots. But he really can't, he doesn't want to grab onto his mother's. So he kept eating his father's. He was shaking in the mouth. And he closed his eyes, bit into his father's arm or leg, rip off the piece of meat and swallow it. And when that happens, as he was kept eating, his wounds started to heal rapidly. All the way to the point where all of his stitches are fully healed. All of his bruises and cuts are gone. And even his hunger has stopped for a moment. He doesn't understand it, but he thinks he should keep this a secret. The next time they open the door, they have no care for Zuko at all. They put him on the straps facing into the chair and start pulling out whatever piece they can from that very DNA. And this time they decide to put that DNA into another child, a quirkless child, and see what it would do. At first, it seemed like nothing happened. And to their glee, something did happen. But after a second or two of showing a new power, it immediately attacked the child from the inside out to a point where it started to deform, cause him to spaz, bleed out extremely, puke, throw, everything, as if his body interacted with the DNA differently and did not help. So the doctors devised to get more subjects and test if whatever will work, to a point they learned after the 100th attempt. This has been a whole month past, and none of their subjects worked. Zuko at this point gave up hope, but he kept quiet about his abilities. And this, my friends, he was at age 5 when this all starts. And, well, this has been going on for many years, to a point of the age of 15 years old. I'm sorry, let me track it back. Let's do 11 years. Not too bad. 11 years old. 6 years of the torment. Same cycle and everything. 6 years has passed. And as he was entering his room once again, his tail has grown very long, very large. But he has not shown any other abilities other than that. The doctors have not found anything new, but they still wanted to use their test subject until he dies. So they had no plans of releasing him anytime soon. For Zuko, long ago, he had no food to, had nothing to eat. He already ate up his father, his mother, the maggots, the sludge, everything that was in the room to satisfy his hunger. He was given a book with nothing on it. And, well, the next day, he grabbed the book, tore the pages off, and stuffed it into his mouth, all the way down as he forced himself to swallow it. And when he did, it stayed there. And that made the feeling of being full. But nothing happened. Now he is 11 years old. And this day is a little special. As the doctor took him and put in the same area, it's the same thing every day. But to his surprise, a man came in with a black mask, a black suit, grabbed him by the face. And the man pulled away, saying, "This kid has no quirk. He has no power I can take. Thanks for wasting my time. You'll be hearing from me again," as the man walked away. Zuko has no idea what was that. And he doesn't remember much anymore. He just goes blank when they take him out of his room. He doesn't even struggle anymore. He stopped that long ago. If he complies, he might get some food. If he doesn't get anything. And they kept telling him to count from 1,000 minus 7 until he hits 0. And Zuko has said it so many times, for so long, that he can do it without thinking. And he did that to get away from his situation, since that was the only safe thing, only way to survive. Only thing he can do was to survive. He was taken back into his room. The door shuts, and the man, the doctor, was new there. He gave a smile different from the other doctors, and for once was showing kindness to Zuko. The doctor said, "Hey kid, are you doing okay? I know this is very tough, but you'll get through this. We're just doing some more tests." As the kid looking towards the corner and ignoring him until he heard a huge thud, a slam of sorts. Zuko looks over and sees a plate of food. He looked hesitant for a moment and get closer, crawling in all fours, touching it, seeing if it was real or not, because one of the doctors has done it before, showing a illusion to Zuko that he was nowhere in the cell. He was out in the playground, as you can say. And, well, Zuko fell for it as he hit a wall when he was running towards his parents, seemingly alive. Now, Zuko was all confused, realized it was all a trick, and started crying, and the doctor just laughed as he walked away. But this moment, it was actual food. He hasn't been able to practice any words. He looked to the man and nodded up and down as he grabbed the food with his hands and started stuffing it down all the way to his stomach, as far as down as he can, forcing everything. And then when he was done, he ripped up what was left of the plate and stuffed that down too. The plate itself, the silverware, the chopsticks, all of it. And the doctor was horrified to see that little kid eat the food and the plate. And the kid just looks over to him and gives him a very creepy, death coming smile. And the doctor got scared by this and ran off. 5 more months passed. The doctor has not done anything at all because of that little interaction. Zuko was given some food, but most of it was rotten meat that wasn't cooked, rotten fish that's been laying out in the sun for 5 days, or even canned dog food. But he didn't care. Anything that was in his room, he ate just to survive. And then something happened. It was coming of his 12th birthday. By this time, Zuko was so bored, he started counting the days. What felt like days, so he did seconds. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4, and kept going until they picked him up. Realized in a long time ago that he get picked up every 2 days. So he counts the time he got picked up. And then he remembers how many days is in a year. So he knows exactly when the next one is coming. But it never came. He gets a little scared. He starts counting the seconds, the minutes, the hours, and the days. A whole week has passed and no one came to pick him up. He gets a little bit more nervous that he thinks he did something wrong. Probably they know about the others. Or did they? No, they can't. No, as he started to freak out. And then Zuko hears a huge crash coming from somewhere, and it's echoing down the halls. Zuko gets scared by this. He doesn't know what to do. So he just hides in the corner, using whatever he can to cover himself up. And it's very obvious that someone is in the room. Until someone opened a door, slamming it open, looking throughout the room, and said, "We got another one in here." As the man opens and checks the kid. Hey kid, you okay? You all good? And say, "Can you see me? Hello, sir, kid. I am a policeman. We are here to save you. Come on, respond. And the kid looks at him, blink just once. And he said in a very whispering, hard-believe tone, saying, "I'm safe. Yay." As he immediately goes to sleep, thinking that this is all a dream. He'll wake up like the others. As the policeman takes the very kid, take him out of the room, and destruction was coming over the whole building. It was a raid of sorts. All the heroes that was there took over and found this kidnapping spree area, hospital that was very, very dark. Zuko did not see this, but we, the viewers, sees carnage everywhere. And it turns out that one for all and all for one, and battle was right next door, destroying the building. And when the fight was over, 2 days and 5 days has passed, the doctors did not go there. And then the policemen decided to check through every single area of that building, the damaged property, and it was all unclaimed. None of it was supposed to have kids, no people. But to their shock, that one building that was under a name of a doctor had all these people, equipment, very expensive equipment, and it was put down as if no one owned it. So they dig some more time, some more stuff. And the day that Zuko was saved was the same day that the policeman arrested the doctors and all the other ones, the patients, and turns out everybody in that one hospital room was captured at the same time. Every single one. And that's where I'm gonna say about this. Zuko is now safe from that torment, but he's now 11 and a half years old. And they just found out that Zuko Midoriya is this kid. And they asked the one question that you'd never ask a kid that age. Do you know where your parents is? And Zuko, he looks towards the officer and he started crying and said, I, 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 and he kept saying, and the policeman said, kid, it's okay. We got you. You're safe. You're safe now. Please, do you know where your parents are? And what he heard left. What was the last word that he heard from the kid? Scared him, terrified him, and everybody in the room. And it echoes throughout the whole office of the policeman. As it said, Zuko said, I ate them. And they don't know what to do. They took it to the chief. The chief doesn't know. So they asked the world's smartest person in Japan on what they should do. And Nezu said, I'll talk to him and see what has happened. And that, my friends, is where I'm gonna be ending for this video. I am going to put 18 plus on this. This is so damn dark. Thank you for listening. I'm very sorry. I think this is my darkest for right now. With that said, have a nice day. Bye.